noise.
Welcome back to the next part of this Truth and Rhythm episode. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. If you've already done so, please share it with friends. Also become a member by joining Truth and Rhythm on Patreon, or consider donating at funkandstuff.net. Thank you so much for your interest and support. Enjoy. Hey, before we get started with today's show, I just want to draw your attention to new merchandise. Funk and Stuff and Truth and Rhythm designs are in, and they look pretty darn cool. So show your support, help support the program, and show off some stylish merchandise and apparel. Only at the Funk and Stuff store. I was just curious about Marva because she was on the show. One thing she was saying in her experience with doing a lot of sessions, vocal work, was that she encountered like some kind of cutthroat mentality among some of the people that try to get those spots. And she was making it sound like it's sort of like, you know, getting tossed to the wolves or something with some of those situations. So, but you're making it sound a lot more easygoing. So I'm wondering if you encountered any sort of, you know, jealousy or, you know, I don't know, unpleasant situations in trying to get work, or people being mad that you got a particular session that they wanted and that kind of thing.
Read my book that's coming out. The difference between, for me, was the culmination of that after like 35, 40 years. Began to wear on my joy of continuing to do it. And I was like, okay, so I'm just really repeating myself. But that was part of it. Oh, are you kidding me? I've experienced all of that. I've experienced people that I called myself sewing into their vision. And, hey, Lynn, can you come and do a session with me? And, you know, okay, I'm gonna, you know, I have a lot of money, but I'm gonna give you $150. And then at the end of the session, oh, well, I'll mail it to you and not ever getting my money, Marva King, you know. So, I mean, you have to be careful not to be part of that as well, you know. And I don't talk about that because I don't want to glorify that. But in the book, I break it down because I want people to know what the good and the bad about the journey, and that you can rise above that and still, you know, be successful and leave and have fun and leave a really rich, wonderful legacy. And I think part of the legacy that I want to leave is being very transparent about some of the things that happened to me. And I want people, you know, the young people that are coming up now to learn from it, and that you really can move with integrity, even though people around you are cutthroat and you're calling them on gigs, and then all of a sudden you're not on the gig and you're wondering, how come you're not contracting the gig that they are now contracting, because they got on the gig with you and they were behind the scene passing their number to, you know, Rick James or whomever, you know, and before you know it, you're kicked out and they're contracting and they're calling their folk. Oh yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, unfortunately. But, you know, for me, I'm all about the music, and the show is mostly about the music and not about that kind of thing.
Exactly.
But when it came up, though, I found it interesting because it's not something that I dwell on personally that much, but it's interesting to just kind of get that kind of perspective too.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talented, and Barbra was a pretty girl, and and so, I think there's beauty in everybody. I'm not saying she was prettier than anybody. I mean, everybody just, yeah. If you're not looking, if you're just doing what you're here to do, and you're honoring your gift, and you're doing the gig, instead of worrying about competing with this other person and this person singing this with such and such, and you're not getting enough attention. I just didn't have, I've never had time for that. I don't participate. And I think that's why I got a lot of flack too, because I was always, I'd rather be over here by myself than to be part of that. So I got called Queenie, and you think you said, yeah. I think that I'm better than to behave like that towards another woman. Why? And so my circle now, with Paulette McWilliams and Cindy Mizell, and I have some powerful women, powerful vocalists, established vocalists that have worked with, Paula's worked with, Luther, everybody. Cindy has worked with, Steely Dan, and we don't compete, we just encourage and we love each other.
It's like
I think that's the way it's supposed to be.
Female background singing support group, it's like,
Yeah.
Solidarity.
Yeah, man. There's some East Coast royalty like Audrey Wheeler and Tawatha. Man, we love each other. We give mad respect to each other. But you have to respect yourself first. If you don't respect yourself, you can't respect anybody else. If you're insecure, then you're gonna move differently than we move. And we don't move like that. Hello.
Oh,
I've never had moved like that.
Well, in general, though, would you say it's a little more challenging working with female artists as the star versus working with male artists?
Definitely. Men don't trip.
Yeah. That's what I've heard.
They do not trip at all. No.
But how was it working, continuing with some of these that I highlighted with Anita Baker?
I loved Anita. Anita was always so transparent and real when we worked in the studio, I liked Anita. She's a strong woman, and she knew how she wanted her music to sound on and off stage. And the business is not easy on women. They want to label you if you're authoritative and you know what you want to do. It's like, look at Tina Marie, man. Nobody was doing what Tina Marie was doing when she was doing it on a level she was doing it, writing, producing, playing. Yet she was, was she being paid what she was supposed to be paying? Was she living like she should have been living? I don't think so.
She's one of my all-time favorites too. I think she's tremendously overlooked for how incredibly talented she was and multifaceted.
God. Yes, and no woman especially was doing what she was doing, and a lot of men were not doing it like Tina was doing it. She was producing and writing and playing instruments on all of her records, her hit records. Thank you. So she's pretty amazing to me. I miss Tina.
In a very compact package too. She was dynamite.
And I don't think the music business was very kind to her, the business part of it. Gone too soon for me.
Well, I hope things are improving in that regard.
In the business?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I would hope. I'm always hopeful. You got to be hopeful, right?
Man, there's no music business anymore. You know, this music is whack out here. You know what's up. Come on. I mean, there's
Well,
some new artists that are coming up now that are fabulous. They're bringing back real music. I don't understand how people like George or uh, um, Jeffrey or Denise, well, they should all still have record deals. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? But I think it's just about money and marketing now. It's not about talent, is it?
well, no. I mean, ever since sometime in the 80s, probably it started going very awry that way.
Yeah.
I also wanted to bring up Phyllis Hyman.
Ah, I love Phyllis. I was so very honored to be able to work with her in the studio too. And she looked like a queen standing next to you in the studio, you know, with her crowns and her presence. She was incredible. She was kind to me, you know.
She had sort of like a regal air about her. You talk about
Yes.
Diana with the sophistication and her with the regal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember standing next to Barbra Streisand and singing on her record, and she's standing right next to me. And I'm like, oh my God, inside, right? And she was just so sweet. She was more enamored with our talent and our presence than, you know, than having that air of I didn't get any of that from her. I never understood, you know, why people, women that are comfortable with themselves and they're powerful, how come they just can't be that? Why do they have to be typecasted and talked about and called certain names that we're not going to say on the radio right now? But you know,
Yeah.
she
It's not.
was wonderful. See, but that's because you have to be comfortable within yourself.
Yeah, she's another one that learned somewhere along the way that she had to pull herself like back out of the situation so she could, you know, control the narrative herself.
Yes. Yes. I've been complimented by women that I've always admired and fashioned certain parts of my being. And Diana Ross was one of them as well. And she complimented me in my voice. And that voice should be on the radio, and I want you to be in my production company. And, you know, I sometimes there's people that you don't even expect to be working against you. You know, I can't wait for this book to come out because there are some jewels in this book. And I think until you really know who surrounds you, and when you're just starting your career and you're going up, be very careful of who you share your dreams with and who you share certain information with, because you expect them to be as, you know, happy as you are about it. And it doesn't go down that way, everyone.
Mm.
That's real. That's just real. There are alliances. There are very few real friendships. People make alliances to work, you know? I mean, there are times where I wouldn't hear from people, and then if I have a commercial out, all of a sudden the phone would be ringing. Not how you doing, but girl, what you doing? Not how you doing? Where you been? You been on tour?
Well,
So what you
ulterior
doing
motives.
now? What you doing now? Oh, you know. all those what you doing people, they didn't last in my world, in my circle. Love you, but I love you from a distance. You know, I love you.
Sheila E, you came back and did some work on her record.
My girl. We grew up together in the George Duke Band. Are you kidding? If I wasn't down here, I was always up north with Sheila and Moms and Pops and Petey and Juanito and Zeke. You know, they'll always be family in my heart. Always.
So you got the Southern and Northern California connections.
Yeah, I did. You know, we don't really hang out much anymore, you know. That's life. Things change. Some friends are forever friends. We'll always be sisters in spirit. I love her, you know. We grew up in the George Duke and experienced that together, and Marvin Gaye's tour, and you know, she'll always be fan band for me.
I didn't see that you worked directly at all with Prince, but right in that time frame, the Sheila E record and the Tevin Campbell, they were both sort of like Prince associates, like during that early 90s.
Well, because, and thank God for Quincy Jones, I worked on a lot of Quincy's projects. Thank you, Quincy. And I got to work with Tevin Campbell, who's just such an amazing talent. Like one day after we sang on his record, I just had to go to him and say, "You are so special," you know? And because of Sheila and going up to Minneapolis, I went to the complex and I'd been to Prince's house and I met him and I got to sit in on the rehearsals. But I can't say I really knew Prince or had a relationship with him or anything.
What impression did he leave on you?
He was a powerful man, powerful little man, talented, and he would say some things around you, give you messages. Like he wouldn't say them exactly to you, but I heard him. I heard him. That's in the book too. I think that when you're a Prince or you're Michael Jackson, it's hard to suss out who's who at the zoo around you, you know? It's a delicate situation because some people look like they're really in your corner, and you got to know where the energy comes from God or not, and sometimes the come up, when they come up to you and want to be in your world and they sing cool, sometimes it's a setup. Look at Nipsey Hussle. We're not going to go there though. I love Nipsey, man. He was special. And I think he scared a lot of people, because he was so special. I don't understand why people don't protect that kind of specialness.
I think you mentioned Aretha as an influence and you got to work with her, right?
I did. Aretha, wow. It's like, what can you say when you speak on Aretha and Chaka Khan, except they're icons, they can never be duplicated. Just amazing souls, and their stories are amazing. Everybody talks about their talent, but what they overcame, what circumstances they rose above, that is what my book that's coming out is about. It's more of a testimonial, and how to do that, with dignity. And unfortunately, during that journey, you're going to learn some really hard, painful truths. about people that you really love.
And Chaka, you toured with, I don't know if you recorded with her at all.
Toured with Chaka, amazing. She revolutionized vocals. Yeah,
My number one right there.
Chaka on a bad night is better than everybody else. Her voice is like a horn, an instrument. Just, she's amazing.
But
she was one of my influences too. How could I ever leave Chaka out? I thought I was Chaka Khan when I was younger. When I went to go audition with George, my hair was Chaka Khan. You know, when I did my ad-libbing for him, I was hitting them Chaka licks and notes and yeah.
what was she like to interact with touring?
She was so down to earth and normal and sisterly and kind, you know, and people like that, I think, like with Marvin and Chaka's and Mike, you know, you're always concerned about the kind of people that we attract as artists, you know, but especially them as celebrities and, you know, on the level that they're on. I just always felt protective, like, want them to be careful of that person, or, you know, but it's their journey. You just be the right kind of person to them. You know?
It must have been fun to sing those songs too with her.
Kidding me?
What a great catalog.
Can you imagine? I was singing with Chaka Khan. Still blows my mind that I can pick up the phone and call one of the members from Earth and Fire. He's my big bro, or, you know what I mean? I can, it's amazing to me. I sat right next to Minnie Riperton and watched a show that we went to go see a fellow artist sing, and I knew that she was battling cancer then, and I was sitting next to her, and I was fighting back the tears and the feeling of just wanting to wrap my arms around her and hold her. I kept my cool, I was cool, but inside, I was not cool. I was like, oh my gosh, she's beautiful, oh my goodness. You know, and I'm praying, God, please let her stay, you know?
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes like I knew that this was my path, but I walked away at the top of my game in the late 90s, and because I just wasn't having fun with it anymore. And you know, I love it that people didn't know what happened, and you know, you hear all the talk and everything. I don't care. They're so silly. You know, we're not just here to be narcissistic and think about just ourselves and promote, you know, we're here to serve as well, you know, at least it is for me.
Just a couple other people I want to mention. Mick Jagger.
He was so sweet.
He's still going. I hear he's running around like he's a, 30-year-old.
He was the bomb. He was the bomb.com. And he was so cool, and thought it was so funny that I was calling him Nick instead of Mick. I really thought his name was Nick. And he didn't care. I mean, he was just, and then I realized why he kept laughing and smiling at me, because it was like, you know, can you imagine how people, are so fake because, you know, oh my God, oh Nick did it. And you know, I'm just always myself. That's why I love who I love. I love Philip Ingram. He's always himself. People that I love are genuine. Paulette's always herself. She ain't trying to be nobody else. We move like we move. And I was honest about it. I thought, I didn't know. And it's his friend finally said, darling, his name is not Mick, it's Mick. And and he still gave me invitations to all of his parties, and I went, and it was lovely.
Was
My
that
life has been a dream. It's been a dream come true, you know?
Was that produced by Rick Rubin? Do you remember, or who? Do you remember
That
who's
sounds
producing?
familiar. That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
And then Luther, you got to work with also?
Did I work on Luther's record, or did I work? I know that I sang in the studio with Luther, but I think it was for like Paul Jackson's project or something. And then I sang with him like on a live show, a BET thing or something. And during sound check, and he stopped us and turned around, and I was like, oh Lord, please don't let him say anything about my vocal. And he didn't, thank God. But because, you know, for me, Luther is a vocal king. You know, he hears everything. And he wants his stuff a certain way. You can tell that by his presentation and the people that he had singing with him, Fonzie and Lisa Fisher. And oh my God, and their presentation was just so flawless, and the sound. So I'm kind of like that about blending and the sounds, vocalists singing together. I'm real funny about that. So I knew Luther was going to be like that, you know?
Did Byron connect you guys? Because I know he played with Luther a long time.
No. That connection was through, I think, Paul Jackson and George. You know, it's a people business, you know? So eventually people, you just run into each other. Yeah.
You worked with Mariah?
Yes, I love Mariah. Oh, that's my girl. That's another one. Songwriting, producing. She hasn't gotten the props that she deserves, man, as having all, you know, possessing all those hats and handling her business. You know, people just want to talk about what they want to emphasize. I see you, Mariah. You're a bad sister. I have nothing but love and respect for you. Yeah, I love Mariah. Worked on a lot of her records with her producer, called us up north a few times. She's amazing. Met her brother, you know, good people.
And Whitney, got a chance to work with her?
I didn't.
Says My Love Is Your Love.
Whitney wasn't present when I did work on We Can't Make Miracles and all that. She wasn't in the studio. I would love to met and worked with Whitney. She's like, for me, like Chaka and Aretha Franklin. So many tried to emulate Whitney, but baby, there's only one Whitney Houston. She was amazing. She's amazing. But this business is not easy on women.
So you talked earlier, Lynn, about George Duke pointing out he could tell that that was like your sound, basically. I wanted to know, how would you describe your signature in your sound? What is Lynn's sound?
Airy, sweet, emotional, airy, sweet, emotional.
Is there any genre outside of R&B or funk that you really feel at home with, that you gravitate towards besides those?
Contemporary Christian. Not so much gospel. I mean, I love gospel music, but that's not like where I feel it. I feel it more on a contempt vibe. And when I want to relax and chill, you're just not gonna believe what I listen to. I listen to country and western. And my grandmother and I used to write country and western songs. I have a book of her lyrics. And she always wanted me to go country and western. And I said, I don't see any Black women in country and western, though, Grammy. You know, that would be cool. I love country and western.
Why is that? You know, didn't stop, you know, Ray Charles from doing what he wanted to do way back when.
Maybe I'm a believer in just, a lot of people try purposefully, I'm gonna do a country and western, you know. Just do what you feel. I mean, just do it because that's what you're feeling. Don't do it to try to, this is what I really didn't like about the business. It's like, if they didn't have anyone to compare you with, well, could you kind of put a Whitney Houston thing on it, kind of sing it like, could you be a little bit more soul, sort of like, that's whack. Just be yourself. If what you feel that you want to do, if somebody in the universe is gonna dig it. If Jimi Hendrix was trying to be somebody else, we never would have known the majesty of Hendrix, Just be yourself.
That's a big part of the challenge now, I think, is there's actually a lot of young people out there that are very talented musically, but they're just replicating like maybe YouTube videos and things like that and mimicking rather than finding their own voice,
They all sound like, and they run on every, like, stop, sing the melody. Go listen to Jeffrey Osborne. You might learn something. The value of singing the melody. And then every now and then, little riffs and everything. They don't care. They don't care about who they're singing for. They're just promoting themselves.
What?
Miss Brandrulis.
What would be your favorite one or two or couple, give you a couple recordings that you ever worked on?
Oh, that's so difficult. Okay, I loved working with Patrice and all of that, and George, of course. So let's talk about outside of that. I loved singing with Daryl Coley on a Stanley Clarke production of Rodney Franklin, Love Is the Answer. That was so much fun. I loved the Soul Mission record that never got the props that it should have gotten, with Tata Vega, Grady Harrell, myself. That was so soulful and so much fun to do.
Well, so you're mentioning it right now, people listening and watching, they can get some new attention. So it's good
Go
that you
get it. And I remember working with Michel Colombier and walking into the studio, and he wanted me to sing a little segment of I'm embarrassing myself because I'm trying to think of this classic artist's name, Johnny Mathis. And there was just a little segment on this song. It was called The Journey. And I said, I wonder if they want me to sing this, like, do a Denise Williams thing. And George will tell you I can't be anybody else but myself. And I did it. And I remember Michelle going, and he lived with it for a minute. But I thought it was absolutely ethereal and beautiful, this song. And now when I sometimes go on YouTube and I listen to it, I go, he had to end up loving that because I loved it. Those are some of my favorite moments. And singing the duet on tour with Stevie Morris. Oh my God.
Be careful, I might ask you to start scatting.
Stop. That was magic.
Was there any other memory from the road that just really stands out? Maybe, you know, it could be anything, something funny, something tragic, something exciting, anything.
I particularly loved when I was singing with Yanni, because I was a little older then, and I realized the beauty of all the different countries and stuff that we went to, and I really began to go and explore. And this was great. The other vocalist friend, Logan, myself, and Linda Evans, we took a hike into the Malaysian rainforest in our shorts and bathing suits. And the guy, our driver, he was all in his suit, and he got out of the Benz and was like, oh my God, I better go with these ladies. They don't even know this is a rainforest. So he went with, he took off his jacket and said, okay, let's go. And we went to the top of the waterfall, and a lot of people in the orchestra and the band had gone to the bottom of the waterfall, and we never do that because that's like the leeches and everything. They were coming back to the hotel with leeches and stuff on them. It was like, ooh. But we went to the top and we had this incredible experience. And I remember Linda Evans saying, okay, look, we're gonna do this, but we can't go in with any fear because we don't want to attract any weird animals or insects or snakes or anything. We're just gonna embrace the environment. And we were all like, yes, most definitely. Yes, you know, Linda and I would read books and give each other books. And so we were kind of on the same wavelength there spiritually about this journey into this rainforest. And my sister, of course, afterwards was like, are you crazy? Do you know that they have diseases in the rainforest that they don't even have a cure for? We didn't care. And we got to the top of and I got into the water and Linda said, start singing. And I just started singing, and I started noticing these little things in the water. And I saw a little, I'm not gonna even go there, but get on my body. And I was like, okay, time to get out of the water. But that was major, going into the rainforest. Yeah. So
wow.
glad I didn't see any snakes, because I would have freaked out.
So that was like in the early mid-90s?
Yes, I think so. And I particularly loved working in Japan with Toshinobu Kubota, even though it was major culture shock. You know, I don't think they understood how different it was for us to leave our culture that was so diverse and to spend 10 months in a very proud, beautiful culture, you know, not a negative thing, but being very real about it. Like after 2 weeks, you're like, oh, I need someone, I need to listen to some English on television, you know? So when anybody would come, whenever my friends like Dorian and Daryl Finney and stuff would come in town with Michael, I'd be running to the hotel trying to see him, like, an American.
How long did you stay there consecutively?
I worked in Japan for about 2 years, like 10 months out of the year. And it was not easy. I made great money. It was a wonderful experience and stuff. And the first time when I went by myself was very enjoyable. And then it got problematic when you start trying to bless other people that didn't really have your back or appreciate what you did. It's a lot of opportunists in the music industry.
Yeah. I got to go to Japan once, visited, and it was a trip going there for me because I'm a big guy and everything's so small there.
So little, me too, yeah.
You know?
You know, I could still buy some Issey Miyake clothes in those days, you know, before I started gaining a little weight here and there. But no shoes. I'd fly to Japan right now just to get some ebisu ramen. Are you kidding me?
You gotta like seafood if you're gonna stay there, that's for sure.
Oh my God. You end up knowing the restaurants, the ones to go to, the Korean restaurant, the Indian restaurant, garlic house, and ramen. Everything else, you know, that has some Epsom salt.
Now you can sing, I read that you can sing in Japanese and Italian?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
So you can speak it too, or just no lyrics? Or
I went to Berlitz for a year and my teacher never spoke English to me. And language is such as if you don't use it, you lose it. So I lost a lot of it. I still remember a lot of words, but you've got to continue to speak it on a regular basis. And after not working there in Japan anymore, after I tried to, you know, be a vehicle for some other people in the business to go there, people do things like, you know, if you charge $1,500 to do a lead vocal and nothing less, and then they come and go, I'll do it for $750. You know, it's like, God, dude, you know, don't you get it? You know, and so wait till you read the book, so I can say.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit more about that. So how long have you been working on the book? When's it going to come out? What's its story?
You know, I'm really not trying to push it by bringing it up. I just don't want to give everything away. But it's more of a testimonial. I thought it was going to be a memoir. I did not want it to be a tell-all. That's not what it is. It's really my testimonial of, yeah, I did a lot of wonderful things in this business, but there's no testimony without a test, baby. And there were many tests. And there were many things that were meant to destroy you and your spirit and your joy. And eventually I walked away because I had enough. It wasn't fun anymore. And plus, I did that. So I'm repeating myself. And so the book is called Above Circumstance. And I tried to be gracious enough not to, you know, expose people by name, but just by occurrences.
It sounds like it was cathartic for you.
It was. It was. Because I was a bit depressed when I walked away, you know, and that's when you really learn who really loves you. Because some people are like, oh, because she's gone, I can work more. Mm. And, you know, you didn't hear from people for a decade. They didn't even call and check on you. Like, wow, that was deep. You're a commodity. Dig that. Mm-hmm. To some, not everybody. Talk about all that in the book.
Yeah. So when do you think it might be available?
Well, this COVID thing keeps messing stuff up. But I was talking to a friend on his birthday the other day. Hi, Philip. And he said, okay, what's your time frame? And I was like, oh, okay, now see, that's a friend. And I said, okay, the end of the year, by the end of the year. You know, because I think COVID just kind of took us all into another space. It's well, I have to live. I've got to do this. I got to prepare. I've got to stay healthy. You know, I wasn't thinking about, oh, I've got to finish my book. You know,
Yeah.
but now I am. I'm in a different space with it now. It's like life has to go on, and this is not for the promotion of Lynn Davis, but this is something that God really wants and that people really need to know. And I think that I love seeing more people be more transparent about what they've gone through, you know, like our actresses. I love Taraji and Monique and the other sister that talks about, you know, what she went through when she was raped. And, you know, those are not difficult things those are not easy things to talk about and to share. But I think we have all grown up and come to the realization that, you know, we're here not just to receive, but to serve and to also help people navigate certain ground that we've already navigated. Whether we did it okay, poorly, moderately well, or very well, baby, we came through, you know? And I think that a wise man, a wise woman will learn from the experiences of others. But how can they learn if you don't share your experience? So that's where I am.
Well, good for you. I look forward to seeing it and reading it, and maybe you come back on once it's out and we'll talk a little more.
I would love that. Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for sharing all those great memories, and thanks for all the good music, you know, above everything.
I can't take credit for it, really. I just honored my gift from God, you know, and grateful for George for opening that door, you know, so people that would know Lynn Davis. You know.
When are we going to have a chance to hear? You said some of the music that had not been out is going to be accessible.
Well, we're getting it together now. I don't want to release it during the winter times, not the best time for, and I want to do it right. And the guys that I'm working with, Dennis and Matthew, oh man, but they're like writing country and western for artists and country music. They're balling, man. I mean, these guys. Do you know the song Maniac? You know, Dennis co-wrote that with Michael Cimbello. He's and we always had this natural brotherly, sisterly, musically something. Like he's like my brother from another mother. I just love him and Matthew. And
Symbiotic, is that the word?
yeah.
Sympatica.
And I think they knew that I was going through a lot then when we were I wasn't ready for a record deal then. I think God protected me by not letting me get that deep into the music business and sign a deal. And especially now, it's like sign your soul. That's not for me.
Yeah, keep the soul in the music, not in the deal.
Yes. Hello. Oh, say that again. Keep the soul in the music, not in the deal.
Definitely look forward to the book and hopefully the music in 2022.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I
Lynn.
just want us to all stay well. Take care of yourself.
You too.
Faith, not fear.
Mm.
You know?
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Truth in Rhythm. A big thank you goes out to our guest as well as to you, the viewer and listener. Also, much gratitude to Pleasure for supplying the show's funky opening and closing music. As a reminder, you can always access the complete list of linked shows by episode at funkandstuff.net. I urge you to support this program and receive the extra benefits along with that by subscribing to the Funk and Stuff channel on YouTube and sharing it with funk, R&B, and jazz lovers, joining Truth and Rhythm's membership program at Patreon, submitting a donation at funkandstuff.net, buying Everything is on the One, the First Guide to Funk book at Amazon, shopping at the Funky Things store for cool merchandise at funkandstuff.net, and linking through funkandstuff.net for all of your Amazon purchases. In addition, if you're an artist or anyone seeking proven, results-oriented professional marketing, PR, writing, or editing consultation or production, check out the media services section at funkandstuff.net. Also, I encourage you to drop me a line at scottg@funkandstuff.net. I love the feedback, suggestions, guest requests, appearance and sponsorship inquiries, and just talking about my favorite subject, groove-based music. For now, and as always, this is Scott Dr. GX Goldfine saying, keep on vibing to the rhythm of the one.